So after 7.5 years on YouTube, I have made $12,578.21. And this is after 2.3 million views and 22.9 thousand subscribers. The AdSense revenue comes from people using my platform that I've built to sell something to my audience. Now the difference is me directly selling something to my audience. And I do that through my creative coaching. I have only been doing coaching around 2.5 years. In that same time, I have made $22,009.44. And I feel that really emphasizes the difference between how much money you make when you are letting someone else leverage your audience and what you've built to sell their thing versus how much you make when it is your product. If I had known just how lucrative it was compared to trying to get a Squarespace sponsorship or trying to grow my subscriber to the point where I was making a lot of money from AdSense, I would have focused much more on like narrowly tailoring what I was talking about towards getting clients to grow my business. I want to talk about a few of the other ways you can monetize your audience if you are a YouTube creator and sort of what I've learned, as well as some of the like mindsets that you need in order to actually welcome some of this money in. So let's actually switch gears to Patreon. What's beautiful about Patreon is that the services you're providing are a little bit more flexible because people really just want to support you. That's what I learned. I made a whole separate video that's just about Patreon, and I started it by asking my actual Patreon people, like, why do y'all give me money, you know? They didn't mention any of like the extra perks and stuff that I was really working really hard to create. So making extra videos, doing like behind the scenes scripting stuff. They just wanted to support me because they believed in what I was talking about and they wanted to help me. That I think is the biggest mindset shift when it comes to starting a Patreon, is you have to recognize that people really, really, really are rooting for you. They're really rocking with you, and you just need to give them a chance to love you. Once you realize that people really want to give you money, then you can think about how you want to create and do that energy exchange in a way where it's not actually draining you and you're not going above and beyond what actually feels good to create. Instead of doing whole separate videos for my Patreon people and all this extra stuff, I moved to just doing voice notes. I love voice notes. I send them all the time to my friends anyway. Often when I would make videos on a certain topic, it would be about me unpacking some spiritual or human development insight that I'd had. But instead, I could also just send a like 5-minute, 10-minute voice note and upload it to my Patreon people. And that way there's this honest, sort of vulnerable relationship that we're cultivating, and it's really easy for me to do. One thing I found really helpful for Patreon too is I would go live on YouTube, and I still go live on YouTube, but when I was really consistent, it was amazing because it was very straightforward. We're on YouTube, we're having fun, we're laughing, we're chatting, and then I say, okay, we're now gonna switch to Patreon and do a Zoom where you can actually talk back to me. We can have a full conversation. Here's the link. And very consistently, I would have people who would be new to my channel or who'd be like watching for a bit. They'd see me on live, they'd be having a great time, and then they would join the Patreon just because of that. It doesn't need to be a high lift. The thing is, it has to be okay for you to receive that money. When I first started my Patreon, it wasn't long after quitting my 9-to-5 job, and so I had to overcome the feelings of guilt around like, it's kind of gross that I was making money and now I'm not making money through this job, and now I'm saying, hey y'all, you give me money, right? I at the time didn't really understand the value of me showing up and making these videos, and that people really did value that and appreciate that, and if I wasn't doing that, they would feel the loss. But when you can connect to the fact that people really do want to support you, it makes things a lot easier. So I've only had one real sponsor on my channel, not counting things like in-kind hair products and free stuff, even though I think for tax purposes that is counted. I had a sponsor, they paid me about $350 to do something. I at the time had never received money for making a video, and I already have all of the equipment that I use to make videos, and so I didn't really understand that the value of my service is beyond just the investment I've made in the actual equipment, but it's the years and years and years of experience that I've learned and developed to actually show up and be engaging on camera and hone my creativity in a way that it would be sort of a fun and engaging thing for someone to watch an ad. I didn't really know the first step about negotiating, so I just truly asked a person who was in the YouTube world, like, hey, how much would you charge for this? I think it's really helpful to have community at different levels, so you can ask a few different people. You don't know what is low or high without the comparison. And if you work with people who have a similar mindset to you, they may just kind of mirror back what you think you're worth. So it's really helpful to talk to people who have maybe more expansive or more broad, like a deeper understanding of the nature of abundance so that they can say,
actually go ahead and throw a zero on there and see what you can do.
I was listening to this podcast and the person was asking me about the nature of the economy and this idea of, is there only like this much money in the world? And so if this person has this big of the pie, that means there's less for everyone else. And the guest was explaining, like, literally no. Like, we know that money isn't actually tied to anything anymore. It used to be tied to gold and then we just stopped. So now it's truly all a vibe and it literally can just be constantly created. So someone having a lot doesn't mean that there's less for you, and you having a lot doesn't mean there's less for someone else. So if you can release any sense of guilt you have about how much money you have, it'll be a lot easier to welcome it in. But if you think every dollar you have is like taking it out of the mouth of like a single mom with like 5 kids who needs the money to feed her family and all that, of course it's going to be really uncomfortable to welcome in and accept more money. Another quick point about YouTube and making money directly from the platform: when you go live, you can have super chats. I think you can have super chats actually at any point in time. Someone can be watching a video and just decide to just give you money directly, not through them watching the ads. And so the last time I went live, I think I got like $15 in super chats. Thank y'all very much, by the way. Either $10 or $15, something like that. And then I later went back and I looked at the AdSense for that same video and it was less than that. If you don't feel like you have something of service to offer people directly, I understand why it would feel maybe like a stretch or feel uncomfortable to say I'm going to create something to sell. And if you aren't interested in doing the other work that comes with sort of selling something, such as getting a Stripe and getting Intuit QuickBooks so you can track your taxes, getting a website, any of the other things that are involved with sustaining that as an income stream, I can see why it'd be easier to just say I'm going to focus on AdSense. But I'd say it's really worth it, especially if you're rooted in the idea of really helping someone do something, not just saying, oh, how can I turn these people and these views into money, but actually, how can I really, from my heart, give a gift to someone that they would really value and want to pay me for, be excited and grateful that they get to pay me for that thing. Intention makes all of the difference, because the frequency of,
I need money and how can I use people to make money?
It's such a low, dense frequency and it's really rooted in scarcity. But if you're instead saying, I have so much to give, which of the many things and the many ways I can bless people do I want to turn into a specific product or service, it has a total different frequency and people are really in that spirit of gratitude with you in the same way you are grateful for everyone who's ever made something that's really been valuable to you. I think that's a big reason why I've been able to make so much money through my affiliate links. So I do affiliate links for Remote Year. This was a year-long program that I did back in 2018 where every month I traveled to a new country with a group of strangers. And when I did that program, I was one of 7 other people of color, and the program was like 25, 30 people or something. And I had an amazing, amazing, amazing time. But while I was on the program, I really wished there were even more people of color. So I took it upon myself, and I knew like, oh, I'm making YouTube videos anyway, I need content for my YouTube channel, to interview the other people of color on the program, specifically the women of color, and talk about their experiences so that people who were curious about the program, when they Googled it, they would see examples of folks who look like them so that they would feel comfortable being in the program. I wasn't thinking so much about like how much I would make from referral links. That was a bonus. I was really thinking about the experience I wanted people to have and the experience that I had that was so great that I wanted other folks to be able to take part in. So I think when you're really rooted in, oh my gosh, I am in love. I am in love with this experience. I'm in love with this program. I'm in love with the people who could possibly experience this too. And so I want to serve from that place. It's going to be so easy and so fun to create content and create services that really bless them. And then as a result, you're going to have that same love that you give come right back to you in the form of money and other things and friendship and inspiration and words of encouragement and love, but also in money. So I'm actually hosting a Hello Creator Weekly Roundtable on this topic. And the way we're going to structure it, I'm thinking, is roundtable brainstorming. So if you're in your creative journey and you're trying to think through some ways you could create some offerings or some programs that could really bless people, I can give you some ideas and some examples of things that I've learned. Register in the link below. I think you probably have one day once again to register, so get on it. I'm hosting them every week though. Every week is a new topic. Definitely stay tuned. And thank you to everyone who voted in the poll where I asked folks what we should talk about. If you have any questions about generating income, if you want to talk to me about where you are in your business and want to do some brainstorming, feel free to leave a comment below, or you can just put put some time on my calendar, you can do a free 30-minute coaching discovery call. Again, thank you to my Patreon people for holding it down and for giving me something to talk about in this very video. I love y'all so much. All right, see you in the next one.